the gravity between us.
Elias Thorne was a man of precise habits. He liked his coffee black, his architectural blueprints symmetrical, and his emotions tucked away in a neat, inaccessible drawer. His life in the city was a series of glass-walled offices and quiet evenings until he met Julian. Julian was everything Elias wasn't. A chaotic storm of paint-stained fingers, vintage records, and a laugh that seemed to vibrate in the floorboards. They had met at a gallery opening where Julian was the featured artist and Elias was the skeptical observer. "You're staring at that canvas like you're trying to solve a math equation," Julian had said, leaning against the wall next to him. "It lacks structure," Elias replied without looking at him. "It's not supposed to have structure, Elias," Julian whispered, having read his name tag. Chapter 2, The Collision. 6 months later, their lives were no longer two separate lines, but a tangled knot. Elias's minimalist apartment was now littered with Julian's sketchbooks and half-finished canvases. Their relationship was a dance of opposites. Julian taught Elias how to eat pizza on the floor at 2 a.m., and Elias taught Julian the quiet dignity of a well-organized morning. But as 2026 began, the friction of their different worlds started to spark. Elias was offered a partnership at a firm in London, a move that meant stability and the structure he had always craved. Julian, however, was finally gaining traction in the local art scene, his roots finally sinking into the city's soil. Chapter 3, The Breaking Point. The argument happened in the kitchen, under the hum of a flickering light bulb Elias hadn't gotten around to fixing. "It's a career, Julian. It's the life I worked for," Elias shouted, his usual composure cracking. "And what about the life we're building here?" Julian countered, his voice thick with a mix of anger and hurt. The silence that followed was heavier than any words they had spoken. For the first time, Elias realized that his neat drawers were empty without the chaos Julian brought to. Chapter 4, The New Blueprint. The story concludes not with a compromise of their dreams, but a redesign of their lives. Elias didn't take the partnership in London, and Julian didn't stop painting. Instead, they found a middle ground, a small studio in a neighboring city that allowed Elias to work remotely for the firm while Julian opened his own teaching gallery. They learned that love wasn't about two people becoming the same, it was about two different people refusing to let go, even when the gravity of the world tried to pull them apart. Chapter 5, The Resonance of New Walls. The new studio in the coastal city of Oakhaven didn't smell like Elias's old mahogany office, it smelled of salt air and linseed oil. By mid-2026, the new blueprint was in full effect. Elias had traded his glass-walled skyscraper for a desk overlooking the harbor, where he consulted for the London firm via digital models and late-night video calls. Downstairs, Julian's teaching gallery, the Prism, was thriving. But the transition wasn't seamless. Elias found the lack of physical office boundaries unnerving. He would be in the middle of a complex structural calculation when Julian would burst in, trailing cerulean blue paint, to ask his opinion on a student's work. The static hadn't disappeared, it had just changed. Chapter 6, The Weight of Distance. The friction returned when the London firm demanded Elias's physical presence for the groundbreaking of a major museum project. What was supposed to be a 3-day trip turned into a 3-week ordeal. Alone in the Oakhaven studio, Julian felt the old gravity pulling at him. Without Elias's grounding presence, his schedule crumbled. He missed the quiet dignity of their organized mornings. Meanwhile, in London, Elias sat in a perfectly symmetrical boardroom, realizing he no longer found comfort in the silence.
First part.
He found